The views and opinions of this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. There is substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options, which you should carefully consider prior to trading. And as we continue here at the 2025 NAFB convention in Kansas City, Missouri, joining us now, ag economist with Compeer Financial, Megan Roberts, is with us here for conversation about what is happening across the agricultural economy, the markets, and more. Megan, it is great to talk with you. Thanks for joining us.
Great to talk to you.
So we're nearing the end of the year, and obviously there's been a fair amount of angst in rural America, tough times with the farm economy. The word farm crisis has been thrown out there a number of times. There's so much going on, and there is some optimism, though, I would say, as we near the end of the year. So 1,000-foot view for you as you take a look across this ag economy. What are you watching closely as we wrap up 2025?
2025 has been one for the books. We started with a lot of uncertainty. We also have a story of two different ag economies. One could argue our row crop situation is very different than our livestock situation.
Yes.
But all of that being said, as we head into the end of 2025, we're seeing some slight glimmers of hope on the row crop side. We're seeing for soybeans, for instance, the highest prices in 15, 17 months, depending on what you're looking at. And so it's really about understanding where you're at your individual farm. So you asked me big picture, but I'm going to take it really small picture, which is what does the financial conditions look like on your farm, whether you're a row crop producer or any type of agricultural producer.
Well, and you hit it on the head, though, too. It's kind of that you have a tough time on the row crop side, and we've had good times, on the livestock side. And so it's, to your point, specific operations, it comes down to your balance sheet, and you have all these outside factors affecting everything, but how are the X's and O's, so to speak, on your operation?
Yeah, what's your cost of production? Are you able to capture an extra few cents per bushel, or if you're on the livestock side, per hundredweight, in order to just do what you can with these current input prices, with these current commodity prices? That's what's really key.
What about some of the macro trends that are out there? There's obviously plenty of talk about monetary policy and the Fed. Are they going to cut rates more? Are they going to fight inflation? What are they going to do? How does that affect everything broadly, making us, competitive or not competitive on a global export scale with the dollar, for instance? So, what are some of those big macroeconomic trends that you're watching as we get into next year?
Yeah, if I'm not talking commodity prices and getting asked about that, then it's interest rates and monetary policy. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on at the Federal Reserve. If we look back over 2025, we had to wait all the way until the September meeting for the Fed to make their first move. And they did cut at the September meeting, a one cut 0.25% on the Fed funds rate. And then they did that again at their October meeting, a 0.25, one cut. As we head into December, which would be their last meeting of the calendar year, they meet 8 times per year for the Federal Open Market Committee. They're really looking into what is the trend with inflation and the unemployment rate, because they have a dual mandate to keep prices low and to achieve maximum employment. And they're using inflation and the unemployment rate and jobs growth in order to measure that. We've seen some weakness on the job side. That weakness is what led them, according to their own press release and their own press conference, what led them to make those cuts in September and October. And I want to tie this from the big macro back to farmers then is, eventually through market interactions, those lower Fed fund rates hopefully will translate over into lower interest rates. It doesn't always track that way, but in 2025 it is. And we've got another possibility in December, but it's very much 50-50. Will they cut or will they not? And it all comes down to the trends on the labor market side and the inflation side.
Well, of course, that ties into a lot of the end of the year conversations that farmers are having with, say the folks at Compeer Financial. They're talking with their bankers, and they're, when there is a little bit of that uncertainty surrounding interest rates and more, and it's that pencil's got to be very sharp here as folks have those, year-end conversations and think about their operating costs for next year, that line of credit, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, and I know there's a lot of solutions out there to help, but that pencil's got to be really sharp right now.
Yeah. And the other important thing that you mentioned, besides really kind of diving into what are your own numbers, sharpening your pencil, is the word conversation. Having those conversations, communicating early and often. No one has to go it alone. And so if you're sharpening your pencil and you're looking at your financial statements and you're realizing this is something that I need to be having a chat with my lender about, pick up the phone and have those conversations. That's so important.
And if folks, want to talk with Compeer Financial, of course, you guys have a great team of folks such as yourself that can have those conversations and really try to drill down and make sense of what someone has going on in their operation and what's the true picture here moving into next year before they start making decisions on seed, fertilizer, chemical, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, this is the time when all of those decisions are being made. And so, don't forget to also include your lender in that conversation as you're making those input decisions.
Wrapping things up here, biggest thing for you looking into 2026, what would you reiterate to producers, grain, livestock, whatever the case may be, as they're looking at things? What's going to be some of the big things we have to watch for going into next year, et cetera? I mean, what would you leave folks with today? What would you reiterate to them?
Control the controllables that you can on your own farm operation. If you are thinking about wanting to move beyond your own farm gate and think about the big picture, I mean, I'm certainly keeping an eye on what is going on with trade. That's super important for our demand situation, and that translates over into prices. I am really hopeful that some of the trade deals that have been announced actually come to fruition, because hopefully that will help with some increased prices. But at the end of the day, that's beyond typically any of our own individual control. So really just diving into your own farm financial numbers and then communicating about that with those that are part of your agricultural team.
Fantastic. Ag economist with Compeer Financial, Megan Roberts. Good to talk with you here at Trade Talk. Thanks so much for joining us for a conversation. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Make sure to subscribe to the Market Talk YouTube channel. You can watch our latest interviews with top market analysts in the country, find bonus content, and much more. It's easy. Just go to youtube.com/@MarketTalkAg and hit the subscribe button. Or you can search for Market Talk Ag on YouTube.